He's supposed to be fighting Ankalaev. Ankalaev is very dangerous, and I think he's the #1 contender, and he's been on a winning streak for a long time.
The person to beat someone like Pereira is going to be a wrestler. Someone's going to be able to take him down, put him in the fence, smash him. If you're going to stand up and strike with Pereira, this could be a long night for you or a short night, one or the other.
The UFC has always taken pride in delivering the fights us fans want to see. Well, for the most part. In a sport where business and pure entertainment often take priority in dictating matchups.
You gotta understand, the UFC has a lot of great fighters. They've only got a couple scary ones.
Alex Pereira, people are scared of him.
You look at him, you're like, well, what are you made out of?
3 years ago, he wasn't on the roster, and now he's a 2-division champion.
It was like when Thanos showed up, and he's just collecting Infinity Stones. The one that has the best shot of beating Alex Pereira is Magomed Ankalaev.
Alex, stop calling for me.
Alex Pereira, currently ranked #2 in the UFC men's pound-for-pound rankings, had an outstanding 3 title defenses. He secured knockout victories over Jamahal Hill in April, Jiri Prochazka in June. Pereira's remarkable performance throughout the year positioned him as a top contender for Fighter of the Year.
Even that thing he does, when he's walking out and he does this will thing and he throws his combination, it doesn't look fluid. He's like, boom, boom, boom. But you know, like, if that dude hits you with that, you're going to sleep.
He goes to sleep. Everybody goes to sleep.
Yuri's in there dancing and shit. Yuri's, like, doing all kind of, like, weird stuff, right? And Alexa's like...
just stone face.
Stone face. Like, I'm going to...
It was one of the greatest stare downs ever.
I'm going to kill you, is what he's thinking. Like, this dance your weird... I'm going to kill you.
On March 8th, in the main event of UFC 313, one of those inevitable showdowns finally arrives. An otherworldly champion, a terrifying Brazilian bomber who's cleared out nearly every relevant contender, faces the final boss of challengers, a dynamic Dagestani long overdue for another shot at gold. Some transcend all that. Some are just inevitable.
They didn't
tell you to fight him, you asked for him.
MMA legend Tito Ortiz recently praised Alex Pereira's striking power, calling it devastating, and he's not alone. With his brutal knockouts and vicious strikes, Pereira has repeatedly proven he's a true force in the octagon.
To beat someone like Pereira is going to be a wrestler. Someone's going to be able to take him down, put him in the fence, smash him. If you're going to stand up and strike with Pereira, this could be a long night for you or a short night, one or the other. That guy's a monster, just his distance and the way he reacts on punches. I like the way when someone punches him, it's literally like moves and punches back. Moves, punches back. Everything is a reaction, all punches that strikes and he does.
A ton is at stake, and these modern-day gladiators atop perhaps the most stacked card of the year so far only have so long before they make that walk. And when the cage door locks behind them, there's only one certainty. Grenades will fly.
Dagestani wrestling is the hardest thing for a kickboxer like Pereira to deal with, and I play with you. He's not a wrestler. But if he stands with them, I mean, why would you stand with him? He just... Every fighter thinks they have a plan. They go in there, I'm going to take him down. We're going to see what happens in this fight. We're going to see if Ankalaev can take those shots.
Let's take an inside look into UFC 313. The UFC has once again opted to give this fight the full 25-minute treatment.
A lightweight banger for key title contention as Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker.
Last time we saw Justin Gaethje, the outlook was pretty bleak. We've watched him get finished before, but seeing him get flatlined by Max Holloway was something entirely different.
Yes, he suffered that knockout against Max Holloway, but he's still bloody Justin Gaethje. If he doesn't take that fight, in an alternate reality, he probably still went on to fight Islam Makhachev for the top.
These guys have been around so long. I am legitimately terrified for them. I am worried about the kind of damage both of them will probably take in this one.
Like, there is no way around that fight being a bludgeoning.
Dan, you fought some guys who were keen to brawl, and Justin Gaethje might be the face of that club.
One of the hardest hitters, one of the best anti-wrestlers, and one of the baddest motherfuckers in the game. It is so hard in modern-day mixed martial arts to be equal parts elite and entertaining.
We've often talked about him as being the most violent man in the most violent sport.
We're about to paint a violent picture, man.
The fight is gonna end. His arm gets raised, my arm gets raised. and then I'm going straight on a stretcher, straight into the back of an ambulance, and I'm going to the hospital. That's how this night is going to end, baby.
Alex Pereira's rise almost feels unreal, like he's a character in a video game, steamrolling through the opposition and shattering milestones as if the difficulty was set to easy. Except this isn't a fantasy. This is a stone-faced warrior who was built for destruction, and whose presence alone is suffocating. An aura so overwhelming it breaks opponents before the first strike even lands.
Everybody knows he's working with some shamans. He believes in some spiritual help from them.
To say he's not in your head when you're worried about magic he's gonna use on you is bullshit. And when he stands across the octagon from you and he has this death stare in his eyes, you're just terrified to get touched by this guy, because it really is all it takes. One touch, you're out.
He just knocks them dead.
I think Ankalaev's a smart guy. He's going to take him down.
It's got to, right?
He's just going to take him down. I don't think his wrestling is unbelievable. He's not a wrestler. People think, oh, Russian wrestler. No, he's not a wrestler.
I'm still going Pereira.
I think Pereira's going to win as well. If Ankalaev just wrestles the whole fight, he could probably win. But I don't think his wrestling is that good. He wrestled with Paul Craig, and Paul Craig was taking him down.
Yeah.
Craig ended up submitting him. Not impressed with his ground game, his grappling. He's going to have to strike with him at some point, and I think Pereira will knock him out. That's just the reality of the situation.
If Ankalaev beats Alex Pereira by the transitive property of geometric shapes,
I'm the 205.
Alex Pereira has got a lot of favorable matchups, I guess you could say. This is absolutely not, and I will be annoyed if Magomed Ankalaev goes out there and at least doesn't try to grapple him a little bit, because if he just stands in front of him, another one who lost out on their chance because they get, I guess, sucked up in the aura or style of Alex Pereira.
As much as Gaethje versus Hooker is a bout that looks destined to be a highly intriguing thriller, the real questions will be answered in the top fight. He's doing something you simply don't see every day from a superstar, putting himself directly into danger's path just to see how he performs.
He fought a tough Khalil Rountree Jr., but once again, he remains a champion.
But this knockout is so wild, and then he gets on the top of the ropes and screams like a monster. Listen to the sounds he makes when he screams. Watch this.
The light heavyweight division is partly to blame here, given how few genuine wrestlers seem to be breaking into the top 10 at the moment. The shadow of one legitimate threat to the champion could not be ignored any longer. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of denying him the shot, the UFC have given Magomed Ankalaev his second shot at UFC gold.
Ankalaev has got to be breathing a sigh of relief, thank God, I'm finally getting this title fight.
The man has got insane power. He's big, he's strong, he's angry. He feels that he's been overlooked in this division, and that's going to make him extremely dangerous.
In some ways, it's understandable. His first attempt at the belt against Jan Blachowicz didn't exactly convince us that he was a fighter who was willing to fight as if his life depended on it in there. But other than some odd decision-making in the cage from time to time, Magomed Ankalaev represents the worst stylistic matchup for Pereira in the division right now. And a guy who, while definitely solid on the feet, has that Dagestan wrestling pedigree in his back pocket. Something that could well prove to be a kryptonite for Poatan's masterful striking offense.
Does Ankalaev have a lot to prove here? Yes, he does. No question. Absolutely. But in a way, doesn't Poatan also have a little bit to prove here in terms of you got to fight a #1 ranked guy in this division who can maybe wrestle you, who maybe should have been champ himself quite some time ago, and you've been fighting these guys who are just going to slug it out with you, and he's not necessarily going to be that guy. This is somebody who, in theory, in Ankalaev, can wrestle him, can certainly control him on the ground. There's really no question about that.
With all that being said, Ankalaev said he's not wrestling him.
If he does that, he's a moron. The interesting thing about the fight is people think they don't want Ankalaev to beat you because he's going to wrestle you. But if you actually look at his fight stats, he's not the typical Dagestani wrestler who goes in there and just tries to take you down.
Такое маленькое послание делать тишире. Не стоит тратить время на борьбу. Я могу Перейру нокаутировать тоже так же, стойки. Так как его уже нокаутировали на много вес меньше, на 84 килограмм, а на 90, я думаю, ему будет очень тяжело в скором времени почувствовать это.
Vou nocautear o Alex. Isso aí, pô, ele pode falar, entendeu? Tá treinando, tá confiante. Pô, é isso. A gente vai ver lá no dia.
The flow state that saw Pereira rip through Khalil Rountree in that insane fourth-round display might not come as easily for him this time. Because there's a chance he'll be thinking about his defensive wrestling constantly in this fight, even if Ankalaev says he wants to stand and trade.
when it comes to hitting people, that dude, he's technical too, man. It's not just power.
Yeah.
The way he's setting Izzy up.
That left hook.
The left hook is
so fast.
Murderous. And he checks kicks as good as anybody, man. If you watch his left leg when he's fighting, when he's stomping forward, he checks everything, man.
Yeah.
He's checking all those calf kicks. But that was a big problem in the fight, was that Izzy had landed some brutal, or he had landed rather some brutal calf kicks on Izzy early on. He goes from 83 kilograms to 99.3 kilograms. So what is 99.3 kilograms? Is that like 220 something pounds?
That picture on the left, 219 on fight day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because when they weigh you on fight day, like they just grab there's a scale, you have your shoes on and like that, you have a hoodie on. They don't really make you take your off and weigh yourself.
But 219. He walks around he weighs in at 184. And then he weighs in on the fight day at 219.
Both Pereira and Ankalaev give him the edge, or will Ankalaev's precision and well-rounded game be the key to victory? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated on all the latest UFC news.